All praise to the Most High and His only begotten Son, the Holy Messiah, Christ is King. What we got here is a book called The Negro Rulers of Scotland and the British Isle by Dr. John L. Johnson. I actually had a chance to chop it up with this brother Wild, the elder, you dig, about 50 or 60 up in there somewhere. You dig, and what happened was one of the brothers, one of my Israelite brothers, Kadar Sha'al, he was at work chopping it up about the Dark Ages, and this brother overheard him and told him he had a book that he can have. He actually wrote, dig, and then he got on the phone, called me, and was like, bro, I got a book you need to look at. And, I've been teaching this for years, but I had to piece everything together. I got like about probably a good 10 different books that if you piece them together, you can, you'll get it like, oh, okay, they was black. It makes sense, you dig, but under one cover. Right here. So, the Most High bless this brother right here, because a lot of this information, when we first was bringing it out, was laughed at. And then when I looked at the copyright of this 2001. So this was before I even knew. You know what I'm saying? Before I even knew. Because I've known going on 8 years now. So before I had even known anything about it, we being the children of Israel, or black folks used to rule, it was a black nobility that ruled Europe. Almost every spot you look at in Europe, you know what I'm saying? I had no clue about that. Not with the world that they show you today. You'd have never thought that, you know what I'm saying? But again, when you're dealing with corporate controlled media, what else do you expect to get? All right, so this is The Negro Rulers of Scotland and the British Isles by Dr. John L. Johnson. All that information. Y'all can go ahead. Some people be asking, boy, where you be getting them books from? You dig? Research, I catch little book sales, or, I'll get on Amazon if I got to. I ain't hiding from these heathens. I don't care what they know I got. You know what I'm saying? May it be recorded in heaven. So Johnson Books Incorporated, P.O. Box 5822, St. Louis, Missouri, 63134. JohnsonBooksInc.com or JohnsonBooksInc@live.com. ISBN is 978 0-970-971-5-1-7. Go check it out. So without further ado, get into it real quick. Read a couple quick hitters, and then we'll get into some pictures. All right. Cambridge Ancient History, Volume 2, page 234, 1926 says the ancient Picts of Scotland is said to be the ancestor of the small black race in Scotland. Margaret Murray, in her book called The God of Witches, mentions the dark-skinned Picts. Let you know a lot of our people was dark-skinned, and it's that witchcraft and druidism. All right, the Picts and the Scots, page 1993, speaks of an ancient dark-skinned pygmy people. Lloyd Lang, in her book called The Picts and the Scots, page 1, 1993, Skard Alive, Historia Norvegia, speaks of ancient dark-skinned pygmy people of Scotland. There were several phenomenal rulers within Europe long before the rise of Scotland, England, Wales, and Ireland. The Egyptian princess Skota, B.C. 1300, fled Egypt and settled in Caledonia, which her descendants named Scotland in the honor of her name. So Scotland is named after an Egyptian princess? Stop that, man. It says Scotland and Ireland. The African Moorish Negro king Dardanius ruled Troy. That's 240 years, 240 B.C. The story of the Pictish king Arthur, 1300 B.C. and his round table of 150 black knights were all about a black man and his darn Negro army. And many more, man. Many more to get into. Right here it says James. James is 6 and the 1st. Hold on. While we talking about him, let's get this out real quick. Remember, it just said Cambridge too, right? There you go, right there. For all you Muslims, shots fired at you Negroes of Islam, the NOI. You brothers still running around here talking about this man was a white homosexual. We about to see today. We get to showing you all these sons and daughters. That says Cambridge Studies in Early Modern British History. King James VI, because he was the sixth James that ruled Scotland and first James that ruled England, and the reunion of Christendom, W.B. Patterson. See, this was drew on cloth. You can't whitewash cloth. It wasn't painted on canvas. You see that? So, let's get into it. It says, James VI and the First, the cousin of Elizabeth I, became king of Scotland and England and was succeeded by his son Charles I, who fathered Charles II, a tall, curled-mouthed, black-skinned, and curly-haired man, known in England as the Black Boy. And well, all you got to do, if you think that's a lie, Google the Black Boy Inn in England, and that's a hotel that's going to pop up, and it's a picture of a colored person on there with some nappy hair. The Black Boy Charles II's great-grandmother was Mary, Queen of Scots. That's King James' mama, who was a dark, olive-skinned woman, and olives are only green or black, so please, stop all that madness. The white peasant blood slowly spilled into the royal Negro Moorish blood following the French Revolution of AD 1789. And we know about the Moors, man, but you Moors are Hebrew Israelites under Islamic ideology, man. Israelites conquered Morocco, Atlas Mountains of Morocco. Where you think we fled? One of the spots we fled when Christ said, flee ye into the mountains. When you see the Romans surrounding Jerusalem, that was before 700 AD, man. Atlas Mountains of Morocco was one of the spots that we fled to. And then our forefathers, black Jews, were conquered by dark Arabs, and in act of submission, they had to take their white top hats and they were dipped in the blood of our forefathers. And they put them on top of their heads. And while you rock them, look up the slaughter that Fez Morocco. Them was brothers that happened to. Brothers got to stop that, man. Moorish blood following the French Revolution of AD 1789. Also, around this time was when that phenomenon of the world is black and white started coming into play. Before then, it was never about that. Like, it was many dark-skinned people banging against each other on every continent. You feel me? You know that today is black and white racism. Like, man, it was always been about where you was from, what God you was repping, what laws you know what I'm saying, you live by, what's the code. It was always about that. What power you had. The Europeans had barbarously burned, looted, and disfigured thousands of old African European royal paintings, sculptures, and public works. And when you say African, see, that's the thing. Africa was named after an Italian explorer, Leo Scipius Africanus. There's no such place. The indigenous people of that land, or even the Hebrews when they lived on that land, it was not called that. Africa. But that's what he's saying it right here. African European royal paintings, sculptures, and public works in order to erase any evidence of an early African dominance or a dark-skinned dominance. Alright, many of today's images of the black rulers of Europe are falsely propagandized as white people. Propaganda. Their portraits have been whitened, distorted, or merely invented to give a fake impression of Europe's early rulers. So we're going to get on into it. Alright, this goes into how the Stewart, which James the Stewart, this brother right here, again, the Moorish house of Stewart continued to rule both Scotland and England in AD 1603 until it was succeeded in AD 1714 by German rule and blood kin of the Stuarts called the Hanoverian Dynasty. This dynasty was succeeded by the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha Dynasty. You see that? You see how the seats switched? Because the people you see over today ruling got as much right to rule over there. They got the right to sit on their throne than you do. So-called Negroe of America. Flat out. Alright, in 1840, by the same people of the German Hanoverian Dynasty. In 1917, the dynasty was renamed the House of Windsor that exists to this day. So if it's all the same, why all the switching? What's really going on? Who was that? Kenneth MacAlpin the Niger. The Christian converted Moorish Pictish Kenneth MacAlpin, who was also called Niger Val Dub, was the first king of the Scottish Alpin dynasty. The Scottish archaeologist David MacRitchie stressed that Alpin, the father of Kenneth MacAlpin, was a half-black Pict and half-black Scotch, whose son Kenneth was the first to merge the two foremost branches of the blacks in Scotland. When Kenneth MacAlpin died, his younger Moorish brother Donald I succeeded him. Donald I. Alright. We talking 858 AD. You see that? The Moors didn't just stop. Our forefathers didn't just stop at Spain and Italy. We kept it moving under persecution and all that. We ain't just ruled there. We kept it moving. Ruled all over the map. Alright. Malcolm I. That's 943 AD. Indo. I'm going to get on up here some more, though. I'm going to show y'all something. Show y'all King James' daddy. You tell me who this looks like. Who that look like? That's King James' daddy, Henry Stewart. Oh, they called him Lord Darnley. Like Rick James, don't he? The Protestant Henry Stewart, also known as Lord Darnley, was the son of Matthew Stewart and Margaret Douglas, the daughter of Margaret Tudor. That series on HBO or Showtime called The Tudors, they was black too. The sister of King Henry VIII of England. Lord Darnley's mother was a descendant of William Douglas, 2nd Earl of Angus, who was a grandson of King Robert III, a descendant of the Scottish Black King Kenneth the Niger, through his great-grandfather Robert the Bruce. Alright, go King James' mama, Mary of Scots. She was a Roman Catholic, though. You see how it looks? His father was a Protestant. His mama was a Catholic, showing you that, look, we the same people, but we divided in belief. And then her is insinuating that his mama had his old dude killed. She was boning more than him. Roman Catholic Mary of Scots, who loved to wear black garments, was the daughter of the Scottish King James V, who was a descendant of Fergus the Moor. James V is back here. Well, this is James IV right here. And this is James III. Alright. The ancestral father of Kenneth MacAlpin, Niger, Val Dub, and Kenneth the Niger, from which evolved the Stewart. She was announced queen at the age of 6 days old and crowned 9 months later. She was only 6 years old when she was sent to France to become the future queen. In AD 1548, Mary, who loved dark-skinned men, married the dark-skinned Dauphin Francis II and became Queen of France. It says Mary, like all other Stewarts, was a descendant of Robert the Bruce, who was a descendant of Kenneth the Niger. And Niger, again, is Latin for black skin. That's Elizabeth, who loved to paint her face like you women. Like you women today. Y'all paint y'all face white. But she was a sister. She was a sister. Alright. Here you go right here. King James, the Episcopalian Moorish King James VI Stewart, was the son of Henry and Mary Stewart, whose bloodline stretched all the way back to the Pictish Scottish King Kenneth the Niger. He became King of Scotland in AD 1567 through 1625, following the death of his mother Mary, and was chosen by his cousin Elizabeth of England to succeed her. This colored king was the first to unite the British Isles and Scotland under one rule. His name is the most well-known of all European kings, since he authorized the King James Version of the Bible and named it after himself. His 6 feet dark-skinned and big-nosed wife, Anne of Denmark, who praised her darkness and the beauty of being black, became the mother of 7 children. Y'all still throwing that gay? The man was gay. Obviously not. Nigga had 7 children. And one of his daughters. That's his son, who was beheaded. And this is granddaughter and grandson, who the black boy in is named after, Charles II. The black Protestant and Catholic King Charles was the son of Charles I, who was beheaded in AD 1649. Prior to the death of his father, the young prince exiled to France to live among the Medics, who were of his mother's side. While residing in France, a parliamentary exhibited a wanted poster throughout England for his arrest. The poster referred to him as a tall black man. Charles' nickname while living in England was the Black Boy. and there's many more, y'all. We can go on even back. You know, Kenneth the Niger, Dub. That's 962, 966 AD. Cullen. Kenneth II. Constantine III of Scotland. Kenneth III of Scotland. And there's many more. Malcolm II. Kenneth IV. So shout out to the brother, Dr. John L. Johnson. Because, bro, believe it or not, bro like me been studying this for years. Let me get y'all another close-up on another book that's very informative, written by a Scottish archaeologist named David MacRitchie. The name of the book is called Ancient and Modern Britons, Volume 1. And he goes into like the same information I just was reading about the Scots and the Picts. He goes into history and shows that they were a dark-skinned, warlike people. Goes into the Stewarts and all them, the Douglases, the Black Douglases. You know what I'm saying? So it's time for us to wake up and understand what time this is. Ye are a great people. And repent, come back to the commandments of God. Because Hamashiach, Yahushua, got next, known in English as Jesus Christ, who was also a brother. So with that being said, all praise to the Most High, His only begotten Son. Shalom to the 12 tribes of Israel scattered abroad, commandment keepers in faith of the Messiah. Understand that. If you don't understand that, read John chapter 8, 20 through 24 and get you some understanding. Shalom.